Glad to have you join us again. And let's get talking. Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was sworn in as Nigeria's 16th president on May 29, 2023, and has wasted no time in implementing his economic agenda for the country. In his first 30 days in office, the president has taken some bold and controversial decisions that have shaken up the state status quo and generated misreaction from Nigerians and the international community. However, events of the last month showed that the president has indeed hit the ground running and even flying. However, within just 30 days, the Tinubu administration has implemented significant changes and taken bold steps in various sectors. The removal of fuel subsidy and unifying the foreign exchange rate have had immediate consequences on the cost of living and the economy as a whole. The suspension of key officials, retirement and replacement of service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police, and the dissolution of governing boards demonstrate the administration commitment to restructuring and reforming various institutions. The Tinubu presidency in 30 days is said to have impacted individuals, businesses and the economy in an inescapable way, driven by double-barreled liberalization policies. Joining me now live virtually as we do some assessment of the first 30 days of the Tinubu presidency is an economist and tax manager at PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, Abiodun Kayode Ali. Good morning, Mr. Kayode Ali. Nice having you join us on the program this morning.
Yeah, good morning, Blessed. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Good one. Let's get talking now. I will start by asking you, what is your overview of the Tinubu-led administration in the first 4 weeks in office? How far so far?
Yeah, thanks, Blessed. That's a very interesting one. Well, I think I would share the same sentiment most world leaders and the international community, as well as some analysts have said, in the sense that it does seem like he has actually hit the ground running, especially if you consider the fact that he has released about 10 new policy development updates, right? Starting from the first one you mentioned, the removal of subsidy, the unification of the exchange rate, lots of these things, he has done them, and they are giving a positive signal to the international community, right? A lot of investors are actually impressed. And these are things that the World Bank, international organizations, the IMF have actually been recommending. So it seems very fast looking at where we're coming from. So to some extent, you can give him kudos on that respect. So far, so good. I think we hit all the right notes at this point in time.
All right, good one there. Now, I want to ask you this question, perhaps just put you in the tight corner now. Abiodun, are you of the view that the moves by the president is beyond hitting the ground running or rolling out several decisions in a hurry? And do you believe that the president has the capacity to sustain them?
Yeah, that's a very important question, and that's what has been on the mind of everyone, because 1 month down, we have some more months to go to see how he can sustain them. So if you look at what he has done, right, is it the right step? Well, to some extent, if you look at Nigeria's fiscal position, given the fact that we are actually high in terms of debt, and given the fact that there's been a lot of wastage in terms of the subsidy, which he has actually removed, I think to some extent, yes, he did take the right decision, but the timing, yes, that part is subject to debate, because the impact on the public is far-reaching. And one thing we should all know is that policies are actually made for people and not people for policies. A lot of people have come up with cost-cutting measures, right, in order to ensure that they are able to make ends meet. And given the fact that inflation is going high at this point in time, yes, to some extent, it does have some adverse measures, on some adverse effects rather on the people. But all the same, that was something that was absolutely absolutely necessary. The timing is another thing to consider. Then concerning the point about sustaining it, we can't really say. I think it's too early, but given the fact that he has actually shown investors that he means business, I think that's actually a good start. I think one important thing I must mention is that it would be actually good if palliatives, okay, they said we shouldn't use the word palliatives, if alternative measures have been put in place in order to cushion the effect of these policy decisions. The World Bank in its report said something about handing over conditional transfers to targeted vulnerables, but to some extent you want to ask yourself, is that sustainable, and how far would that take the vulnerable, given the fact that inflation is high at 22%, and even the World Bank estimates is going to go as high as 25%. Even some analysts say it might go as high as 30% before the end of this year. I think one thing that is quite important is that a lot of measures need to be put in place to cushion the effect, especially for the vulnerables. And it might even have to do with, it does have to do with government itself costing down on its expenses, because we know that government can be wasteful at times. So these are some of my thoughts on that question.
Good one there, and I totally agree with you. But I want to also raise my next question from what you said, the key points that you made mention of, talking about palliative or alternative measures to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal on the poor masses that has made the standard of living largely unbearable. It's been 30 days plus, and we've not seen the president or anybody from the presidency come out to tell us their plans. And then again, the president has also inaugurated the National Economic Council and other economic team that it's going to be working with. But it's been 30 days plus, and we've not seen any palliative alternative measures to that effect. How do you react to this? Does this really show any sign that this administration is really serious about bringing about the standard of living to a point whereby citizens do not have to continue to cry out loud?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I do know that you're right, the Economic Council has been set up, but I also know that the ministers would be coming up very soon. And I guess because it definitely needs a team to handle this, I guess these are things that are going to be on the front burner of his agenda. You're quite right. Some of these things should have been discussed within these 30 days since the announcement of the removal. But I still think that we need to give some more time to begin to see the effect. I do know that states, for instance, because when we talk of government, we're not just referring to the central authority, not just the federal government, we're also referring to the state government as well. I do know Lagos State has already put in place plans to ensure vehicles, right, buses that run on electricity are being imported into the country, right? And I also know that there are discussions about conversion of some of these vehicles, petrol vehicles, to those that would begin to use compressed natural gas, as well as LPGs, liquefied petroleum gas. The compressed natural gas, that's the one that is actually being discussed. So yes, we haven't seen much with respect to these alternatives, but I still think that 30 days is actually quite early. All right, but I still think we should give some more time. And if you also look at the positives, right, there are a lot of positives from what has been done, right, especially the unification of exchange rates. If you think about the quick wins, you've actually stopped. What he has done is that he has stopped all those round tripping, all those arbitrage that used to exist, right? It's when you have that premium between the official exchange rate as well as the parallel market rate. You've also seen a situation whereby investors were shy of bringing in foreign direct investment, which has actually been on the low. The last record of FDI that we had was somewhere within the range of, I think, $400 and something million, which is very low compared to 2014 when we used to boast of $2.2 billion. So some of these measures would begin to see investors take Nigeria serious and begin to bring in their money, right? Then also, if you want to look at it from the aspect of the diaspora, we believe that diaspora remittances is actually quite good for us, and it's quite a lot.